Hi, this is Kevin Conroy, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Welcome to The Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with a rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 76. I am your host, TFG1Mike, and we are 3 episodes away from concluding Batman's 75th anniversary spotlight here inside The Pull Bag. I am joined once again by Steve Megatron. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing well.
That's good, that's good. Alright, we are going to jump right into Batman Volume 1, The Court of Owls for the New 52. It took me a while to get around to the story. Not that I didn't want to read it, but as I've said many times in the first year of this podcast, you and your review of Batman 13 kind of is what really got me spending all this money on these things called comics over the last 2 years now. Holy crap, in October of this year it'll be 2 years since I've been buying comics all this time. So I started on the Death of the Family arc, and we'll get to that in episode 78, but I started on Death of the Family, went into 0 Year, and I never really had the chance at the time to go back and get the Court of Owls trades, and I wanted to get them as the trades and not the single issues. The Volume 1 trade I actually got with, I actually spent $25.
Wow.
Because I got... No, listen. It was a gift set. It was they put out those gift sets, and it came with a Court of Owls mask. I actually have a picture of myself on Facebook somewhere with me wearing the Court of Owls mask that came with it, because the Court of Owls mask was something that I think they used at San Diego Comic-Con the year before or something or other. But I mean, honestly, the actual MSRP on this is $16.99 USA with a discount that probably knock it down to $11, and I got a 25% discount off this thing anyways, so I didn't spend more than I usually would. I'm just saying that's what the price of the set was when I first saw it. It was $25, and 25% off $25 ain't that bad.
No.
So, all right, well, Court of Owls. Now you read this. You've read all the Batman New 52 stuff up to this point in order, right?
Yes and no. I originally started collecting with the first issues of everything when the New 52 launched, and then I forgot about it. And then I ended up going back to it later. I believe I got this trade from DC Comics.
Very cool,
directly.
very cool.
So.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, like I said, for me, I just now came back to it, and I gotta say, so far, out of the New 52, Court of Owls has been Snyder's best as far as the writing goes. There wasn't anything in this story that I did not like. There wasn't anything in the writing that was heinous to me. There wasn't anything in the writing that was jarring to me. There wasn't anything in the writing that made me go, what the is he doing at all whatsoever. I absolutely loved it. With the trade, we have some awesome Batman hang gliding art. We have some awesome Batman versus the Court of Owls art. Now, I know it's not the Bat Pod, but every time I see that Bat Cycle, it reminds me of the Bat Pod. I don't know why. What do you think of the trade, how they do the regular cover, and then on the reverse of the cover, they have the penciled version?
I don't really know. I mean, I don't care either way. I do like the cover.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make that big of a difference to me. I like it, but I don't like the gruffness that's to it.
Yeah.
I like the more clean, colored version of Batman.
Yeah. So we open up and Batman's doing a monologue about Gotham is. There's a saying in Gotham where people every so often will say Gotham is, and they use two or three words to describe what the city is. And we go through this, and and he says after all this monologuing, he says there's no place like home. I absolutely love this first issue simply for the ruse of Batman and the Joker working together against a common foe.
Oh, I thought that was hilarious. I was like, okay, this is the newly rebooted Joker. Okay.
And it's so. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, and then as the lines were going, throughout it, I'm like, he sounds convincing enough, but something's a little off with him.
Oh my god, it is so awesome because it says the monologue says something particularly depraved or twisted. There you are, and here I was beginning to think we were gonna die without even saying goodbye. You ready to do this? Oh, always so serious. Fine then. Let's cut to the punchline. I absolutely love it. I love Snyder writing the Joker. I think he does really well writing the character in this iteration of the Joker with, face on, face off.
Yeah.
And then I love how Batman and Gordon just play it off. He's like, one more thing. In the CC footage, it almost looks like you're fighting alongside the Joker. Tell me that'd be ridiculous. That'd be ridiculous, Jim. That's what I figured, a simple trick of the light. And so we get to the page where we have the Batcave. I don't know about this Batcave. It looks... Capello's designs are amazing. The colors are great. But just the way that it's laid out on the page, it looks a little strange to me. What do you think of the Batcave here?
Actually, I really love this. I love this Batcave. I love the fact that it's laid out. They give a more full approach to how everything is. Some of the nicer parts is the Batcave actually includes a lot of what's in the Arkham game, the Arkham Origins Batcave, because you actually get to go to the real Batcave. And it's also, granted, this came out way before that, but it still came out during the Arkhamverse. But anyways, I love how you have his regular control center, which leads to the carport, which leads to the kind of almost Batman 66-esque centerpiece where they'd punch in their computations and everything. And you have his Batcopter, two different bat planes. You have the Bat Pod in there for the water. You have various iterations of the Batmobile sitting there. You have the Bat Cycle. You have the pre-New 52 Batman and Robin Batmobile. You have his 89 Batmobile. It's just interesting seeing all these different Batman vehicles sitting there, and the way that he actually has more tubes for the Bat costumes.
Yep.
There's actually, I think I've counted like 9.
Oh, wow.
In one of those shots with the dinosaur, there's 9 of them displayed there.
Oh, wow.
One of them is barely visible, but it doesn't show all of the costumes. And in one of the other squares on the top, it shows one of the Bat costumes, one of the Batgirl costumes, one of the Robins. So, it goes through a couple different iterations of the suits, and then it shows that even on a higher level, there are more Bat costumes. So he's got other ones stockpiled.
Yeah. And the next page really sells it for me. Dick Grayson as the Joker. Best acting ever. That first panel where you see his face in the background. Oh my god, that image is so just horrifying. And it's an EMP mask. That's interesting technology.
Yeah, I like how it's grafted to his head.
Yeah, it's kind of like mocap a little bit. And I love that line where at the end of that panel, at the end of that page, where Bruce says, "I thought you could, with everything you've been shouldering lately, I thought you could use an extra day off. An extra day off in Arkham." Bruce, only you would think that was a vacation.
I think it's funny that Dick says, score one for Alfred's School of Acting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love the facial, because the whole point of this is, while Bruce is in the cave, he has this eyepiece, this contact lens and earpiece that does facial recognition without having him to wear like spy glasses or something. And this is where we first meet, at least where I first met. Well, not really, not in chronological order, but this is where we first meet Damian Wayne. Oh boy, finally. It's a who's who of Gotham in here. Um, uh, he said, and Drake says, "Tell me he's not using facial rec for the party. The party, he's using it to remember who you are, Drake." And Grayson says, "And zing."
I love the dynamic between all the previous Robins. Just because you can tell that Tim Drake clearly hates or dislikes Damian with a passion. And Tim Drake, I think, was the best Robin to Bruce. And Dick, I like him better as Nightwing. Granted, he was a good Robin, but he was always a Nightwing. Whereas Tim Drake was always Robin. Even as Red Robin, he's still Robin.
I said this on Twitter the other day, or actually a couple months ago, that I wish that... I know they've canceled the Teen Titans series with Drake in it. I wish that there would be a Red Robin series or something with him.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing him come back into the fold with Bruce.
I agree. I completely agree.
I mean, filling the void of Nightwing anyway.
Yeah. See, the problem with the current state of Batman is that because of this 75th year, they've basically done away with all the Robins. I don't mind they killed Damian. I'm actually happy that they killed Damian, but they've done away with Tim Drake. They've done away with Dick Grayson. I don't know where or what Jason's up to, because I haven't been reading Red Hood and the Outlaws, but it seems like because it's Batman's 75th, they're trying to basically do what the Joker is going to do upcoming in Death of the Family, where he wants to get rid of Batman's vices. And I don't particularly like that. I know, it's comic character deaths. It'll always come back, and everybody except Uncle Ben will always come back to life. It's just
and Bruce's parents.
Yeah,
unless we're talking about a different universe.
Different universe. So they go to this party, and Bruce is making this speech about Gotham's past, present, and look to the future, and he shows off how he's going to improve the Gotham skyline and rebuild everything. It's basically reinvention, rebuilding the city back to what it was.
Well, and funny thing is it's not even to what it was. It's to what it's going to become, the future. Right. And the funny thing is some of the shapes of those buildings and the height of them is Batman Beyond-esque.
Yep, Neo Gotham.
Because throughout the Batman and Detective comics, they're constantly leading closer to that future without actually coming right out and saying it.
Right, yeah. I'm so happy Vicky is not some other form of herself. I'm very happy that she's part of the Gotham Gazette.
Yep.
So we go to Lincoln March, who is gonna be the new mayor of Gotham, and Bruce is not really paying attention to what he's saying, because he's paying attention to an incoming call, and he basically excuses himself from March and says he needs to the monologue says, "I need to get some air." What do you think of the storytelling device of them doing word balloons as part of a conversation and then going into monologue to finish the conversation?
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really affect me any.
No, it doesn't. I thought it wasn't, especially today in today's standards of comics. I thought it was really interesting how they do that. And Capullo's art, along with the colors here, where Batman's coming over the city and all the bats are around him, I absolutely love it.
I do too. That is such a. It's almost got the New Adventures vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
With the dark red sky and then the darkness and gruffness to it. I actually like that. I wish that was the cover, but but no, I mean that's definitely really cool. Graphic.
Yeah. Yep. And then we get Harvey Bullock, and it's oh god, Harvey is so. Snyder really must have paid attention to animated series and the direction that they took with the relationship between Harvey and Batman, because he actually references this even though it's not in the notations, but he says, "Hello, Harvey, back to stealth mode, I see." This references the fact that before New 52, it wasn't Bruce Wayne as Robin. Oh my God, Bruce Wayne as Batman. It was Dick Grayson, because apparently Dick was a little bit less stealthier. I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, he you could definitely hear his presence more so.
But that's his style. I mean, Dick Grayson is the Peter Parker of the DC universe, only he does it way better than Peter.
Agreed.
So Batman is sniffing around for clues, and he figures out that that this chemical that was left behind was used to leave a message or a last warning before this guy got basically ritually tortured and stabbed to death. And this fire on the wall reminds me of when Ben Urich tossed the match on the subway floor in the Daredevil movie, and you see the Daredevil symbol come up in fire. That's what this reminds me of. And Bruce Wayne will die tomorrow.
Right. And my name's Elvis.
Oh man, I gotta say, reading this story, I absolutely love it. This is one of the reasons why the pull bag has gone towards to trade coverage versus single issue, because I love how in trades that they end the story, specifically the Batman, the Nightwing, and the Batgirl for DC. In the trades, it's so... They end on a cliffhanger like the single issues do, but instead of having something that says next on or whatever else, you have the next cover. And apparently the DNA that Bruce was having Alfred check comes back as a match to Dick Grayson. That's one hell of a way to end the first issue.
Yeah.
This is one hell of a way to end the first issue. Second issue cover. What do you think of the second issue cover?
Second issue cover. Well, I like this one a lot more than the first issue. No, I mean it's more colorful. I like the red tones in it, the explosive, the helicopter. Not that I don't like the black and white, but I like the color version much better.
Oh no, I like the color version. I was just asking you earlier what you thought of their inclusion of the black and white cover, like on the reverse of the color issue of the color cover. This cover, I almost wanted to say, "Hey, that bat cycle drove up the wall." And I can just hear Steve groaning in the background, even though he's not saying anything.
Yep. Not going to.
Batman forever.
Nope.
Yep.
Nope. Batman
Yep.
never.
Batman forever. So we open this chapter with Bruce explaining in monologue what Old Wayne Tower.
It almost reminds me of the tower from it's the one that they used in Arkham City.
Oh, really?
It's almost the same as the tower. It's not named the same thing. I can't remember the real name of it in the games, but they used that in Arkham City and called it something else.
Ah, interesting. But yeah, this opens up with him doing a monologue on the story of Old Wayne Tower, how there were 5 gargoyles at the bottom, 7 at the top. And he's talking about how the glass was made to be unbreakable, except if you do the smart thing and break it on the edges versus the center. And we see an image of him being thrown out the window.
Yep.
Bruce Wayne is falling.
To
And
his
all
demise.
I can think of is world's finest. Go check, you idiot. Some flying fool could have caught him. I know we're not in Metropolis, but it's just...
Damn you, tangents!
How is that a tangent? It's just, it reminds me of that, yeah. So Bruce is falling.
And then it jumps to 24 hours earlier.
Yep, 24 hours earlier, and that's where we get that full-on bat cycle image that was earlier in the trade at the very beginning. Very, very awesome. Love that image. And we see that Alfred and Bruce are arguing over the communicator, and he's like, relax, this will only take a moment. Oh, Bruce.
I think it's funny that Bruce creates a hologram
Oh, yeah.
and makes himself mysteriously appear in the morgue to scan.
Oh, yeah. That is so cool.
I think and unfortunately, it's something that he's not used since.
Yeah.
I really think that in some cases, because he can't be everywhere, I think that this is, this is more so what I should see come from him at points.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Especially in this day and age with the technology.
I mean, I would love to, see that actually come out of it at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's, just briefly. I don't expect to see it all the time, just briefly.
Yeah. So he gets to the morgue, and they talk about this body that's in the morgue, and the fact that it's that's the whole point of this one. These first 7 issues is Bruce doesn't believe in the Court of Owls. It's an old wives' tale to him, and as these issues will go on, he does, obviously start to believe. And he goes back to the Batcave, and Dick is like, "Whoa, you installed a photogrammetric scanner in the city morgue. It simplifies things." And this is part of the technology of Batman that, like you said, we wish that we would actually see nowadays, because that would be really interesting.
At least for Batman. I mean, come on.
And it is so interesting that Dick has this line here. Good thing we keep all of our Bat family DNA protected, which then will come back to haunt him in later issues. Because Bruce does secretly use his DNA.
Yeah.
So we then go back to Old Wayne Tower.
And then it has Bruce meeting up with that
Lincoln
mayoral
March.
candidate.
Yep. And they tell, Lincoln March tells him a story. And the whole thing with the Court of Owls and the people that work for the Court of Owls is there's always truth in the lie or a lie in the truth. And that's, he tells him this story. And it's a really interesting story, but it's more interesting of what will happen later with that story. And then we see the first Talon, who apparently will turn out to be William Cobb. And Batman basically goes through and fights him. It's a pretty interesting fight scene. I really do like the fact that it's Bruce fighting him, not Batman, I should say. And the new line that the tagline for the Court of Owls is, Bruce Wayne, the Court of Owls has sentenced you to die. And he says how I love killing Waynes. So we can tell that the Talons, especially this Talon, has been killing Waynes for the longest time. Now, I wasn't sure where Snyder was going to go with that, whether he was going to say a Talon was the one that killed Thomas and Martha, even though we all know it's Joe Chill. But I was kind of hesitant when it came to that part of the story. I was like, oh, please tell me they're not rewriting the origin of who killed his parents.
I find it funny that this Talon says, I enjoy killing Waynes, and then he's mentioning all these different towers, or these different gargoyles that were on the Old Wayne Tower. Mm-hmm. And then he says, something your tour guide wouldn't mention either, because there's one guardian people don't tell you about when you visit. They don't tell you because it was added later in 1930, and it sits in the middle of the building and can't be seen from the elevators or the deck. The 13th Guardian, installed by Alan's son Henry, his great-grandfather, the Guardian for visitors to Gotham arriving by air, and you just see Bruce with all these daggers in him, and he's standing there like Batman would.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So then we get to the penultimate page here for this for this issue, and it's basically Bruce is basically saying, which is why I can't say that there is no Court of Owls, not in my city, not in my Gotham. And that's some pretty interesting imagery that we're left with. And the cover for the next issue is Batman versus the Talon. Black, white, and red all over.
Yep.
Good old newspaper joke.
That's what she said.
And that's one thing I love about Snyder sometimes, at least in this story, and also with him penning the Gates of Gotham story with Dick Grayson as Batman, is how they're able to distinguish the past from the present and now. Because this story opens up with Gotham City, winter 1922. And it's basically Alan Wayne, the guy who built half the city, running from the Court of Owls. So we basically actually see his great-grandfather die. Well, not really die, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
What do you think of the past versus the present here?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not one for seeing all that. I understand why it's there. I don't care. I want to see Batman kick ass, not a Wayne die.
See, I can agree to that to a certain extent. I love what they've done creating Batman's mythos in the New 52 as far as this first storyline, the Court and City of Owls, because I like seeing that was, and we'll get to Gates of Gotham eventually here in the pull bag, not anytime soon, maybe sometime next January. In Gates of Gotham, it's a story of past and present, and I love seeing how the past Waynes went about building Gotham City compared to the present Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson and all that. I absolutely love it. I thought that was great. So we do get back to the present here, and Batman is he's looking for information pretty much on the Court of Owls. And we have him basically going after a whole bunch of different people. I love the art here. I think it's so well done. Capello and I believe Jonathan Glapion is the anchor on this. So well done. The inks, the colors, everything about it. It's light, it's dark, it's so great. What else did you like about this one?
Well, the fact that you actually get to see Batman fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that when he's sitting in the Batcave, you can see the cowl kind of staring back at him while he's watching the review footage of him fighting the Talon.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. And then you see Alfred with the Talon from the Court of Owls folk song.
Yeah.
And then they show the logo of him and it says, just common trivia, they're carnivorous masters of camouflage. They're natural predators of bats.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, so it's funny that they're hunting the Batman.
Yeah. What's even funnier is what'll happen later, that you can never really get rid of the bats. So yeah, we've got that, and then next we go to even bats need sunshine, and he goes to visit March in the hospital. Which is an interesting scene as well. Again, like I said, the lightness and the darkness of this issue, or of this whole trade, is the art is so well done. The backgrounds, everything, I absolutely love it. And Lincoln says that the Court of Owls are watching him, and he's talking about the superstition of it all. Let's see what else here. He actually goes out hunting and looking through Wayne buildings and finding old owls' nests, and he actually does find the Court of Owls. And I like the designs on the Court of Owls. I think they're really, really interesting. Even though it's basically just people in white masks, it's kind of creepy because, let's face it, for the most part, owls are creepy.
Yeah. I like Bruce's discovery, though, of the little hideout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and seeing all the remnants and everything in there, and then a full costume.
Yep. And the end of this one is kraboom, because the whole building explodes. All this time, right under our feet, sir. And we see the Talon with the owl. And then we get the next issue's cover, and this might be my favorite one so far, is the Talon with Batman in its eyes and in a red city. What did you think of this one?
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I like the next page more, where the kaboom's on there.
Kaboom! Most people assume the danger of a tripwire lies in the blast. Oh boy. Not so. The real threat is from tripwire comes later in the aftermath. And man, was this one hell of a big blast. I mean, this thing has gone on for almost 2 pages now, between the last issue and this issue. It's pretty damn good explosion. So we get back to the cave again, and Dick is there, and they're talking almost all in because it's Dick and Alfred. They're talking in all monologue captions, and I like it. I think it's interesting. I wish, only because I know a lot of people don't like the Chris O'Donnell Robin from Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I still do. I almost wish Dick in this would have called him Al instead of Alfie. So we find that Bruce is not resting. He is preparing, and he and Dick have some interesting conversations.
Yeah, it's interesting of all things.
Yeah, well, what I love about this is he's talking to Dick and he's talking to the computer at the same time. And he tells the computer one thing and he tells Dick the other, and then somehow the computer thinks that Bruce is talking to it versus Dick. It's nice little back and forth. What did you think of the exchange in the cave here?
I think it's funny he dug up his grandpa. His great-great-grandpa.
Yeah, pretty much. And
I needed his bones for a case I'm working.
Yeah.
Show me what you got, old man.
And he says that there is no Court of Owls. That he looked into it as a boy, and we get this story of how he looked into it. And I love kind of the sign thing. 123 mile Gotham City. I kind of love that whole outline of the. Oh wow! It's a whole outline of the city behind the. That's something really interesting about the art in this one. Is that this page has the entire map of Gotham under the actual panels where the images are. I thought that was great. That was a nice little thing. Overall, I mean, the story is really, really interesting. What's great about it is how Bruce finally, comes to realize that the court is real. How he now believes in the court. He actually gets captured by the Court of Owls. This volume 1 of Batman for the New 52 is an amazing, amazing read. It really, really is. And how they leave it off is just simply awesome. What did you think of the ending for this one? The one, not just the issue we're talking about, but just the overall ending to the book itself.
For the whole trade?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting they're starting to finally realize that there's a lot more darker, sinister things going on around.
Yep. Yeah, I mean it's so interesting, and in this ending we also have
Bruce stuck in a maze.
Yeah, Bruce stuck in a maze. We have that beautiful, beautiful shot of the of him versus the owl. the Fountain of the Owl. When I first saw that, I was like, wow.
I think it's funny that there's this one page though that they show the bat skyline.
Yeah.
And you see Bullock and Gordon standing by the bat signal, and then you see Damien and Dick by themselves at one point, and then you just see Batgirl at one point, Catwoman, Batwing, Alfred. Everybody's kind of separated.
Yeah. Wasn't this the trade that has the bat signal going out? And Damien says, "Get a new one now."
I don't know. I like how Bruce's costume gets battered all to hell after he gets out of that maze.
Oh yeah,
and
that was so
you can actually see his eye.
Yep.
And he needs to get into the dark, away from the light.
Oh yeah, that was so awesome. And by the end of it, we have, Dick finding out that Bruce did take his DNA and did use it to find out that this Talon is his great-great-great-grandfather, William Cobb, and the fact that Dick was actually meant to be a Talon. Yeah. We've already had enough cross-genderization in the DCAU. We don't need it here in the New 52 with Talia and Raish. But Dick was supposed to be a Talon. That's what he was going to be. That was what his destiny was going to be, because the Talons recruit through Haley Circus. And I personally, in the current state of DC Comics past this volume, I don't know how I would feel if they brought him back as a Talon now. I just don't.
I think it's funny that they stab Bruce, though.
Yeah, they do. They do. Overall, I absolutely love The Court of Owls, Batman Volume 1. It's an amazing, amazing story. It not only gives you insight into Batman's life, but it also gives you insight into the lifeblood that runs within and under Gotham. So I absolutely love that. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with final ratings after this.
Miss Kyle. So that's what that feels like.
All right, we're back, and final ratings for Batman Volume 1, The Court of Owls. I'm actually going to give this a 5. I really do think it's 5-star worthy. I think it is a perfect book. There wasn't any major pieces of art that really stood out to be negative for me whatsoever. The way the trade is set up is simply amazing. The way that Snyder writes this story, it's epic, because it's not just them. Because it does give, in the beginning of the trade on the credits, it does say under Batman created by Bob Kane, it does say The Court of Owls created by Scott Synder and Greg Capullo. So this isn't some old story that was done in the past. This is something brand new that they came up with to relaunch Batman. And I absolutely love that. I don't know. What about you for rating and kind of a final thought?
Well, I think it's interesting that they did create it, and it's actually the most formidable villain that they've had so far in the New 52.
Yep.
Meaning that it's spanned 12 issues to, the first 6 setting up of him discovering them and getting battered and beaten, and then getting back to it all once in the second part. But I mean, it's definitely it's showing that they definitely have very far to fall.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, I think it actually helps the characters grow for once, instead of constantly fighting their regular foes and same story in and out. So I definitely welcome that into the fold. But no, I mean, I don't really see any issues with it. It's pretty solid overall. I'd probably give it a 4.5 just because it's good, and I like the history aspect of it as well. I just something about it always calls out to me that it's not a Joker comment either. It's just
No, I know.
I enjoy the other stuff a little bit more once it gets further on in the story.
Oh yeah, no, Volume 2, which we'll talk about next time, it's the issues 8 through 12 are just simply amazing, especially where they go with the storyline with the history, without having to bring in the I love that it took them 12 issues before they went to Joker. That's, we'll talk about Death of the Family when we get to it. Now, I just want to give people a little heads up for those of you who are listening to the Pull Bag here in the Batman Spotlight Month. When we get to episode 78, which is the final episode of the Spotlight Month, which is Death of the Family, it's not going to be a review of the comic. Steve and I already did that in single issue form on Geekcast Radio. I will put the links to those episodes in the episode 78 post, but it's going to be a general discussion on the storyline overall. But next time when we talk about City of Owls, it'll be the same kind of review style that we did tonight. Until then, make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, the GCRN's comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you're leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. Send us an email feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at geekcastradio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.